Undocumented immigrant families across Chicago, they're bracing for the unknown now as President Donald Trump starts to fulfill his promise of deportations with a focus on sanctuary cities like here in Chicago. Rima Amin is a reporter with Chalk Beat, Chicago. She has more on this topic. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
We're really looking forward to this conversation. Now, some families, they've been keeping their kids home from school out of precaution. And even last week, there was some confusion about who showed up to a CPS school last week. We eventually learned that it was the Secret Service, not ICE. How would you say to that event, how does that influence how CPS is now handling the possibility of immigration arrest in their schools?
Yeah, the events that happened last Friday certainly sowed a lot of confusion in the community, but I don't, I'm not aware of different protocols that the district, is telling their schools or changing anything about their approach. The district has trained their principals and school leaders on what to do if immigration enforcement shows up, and their emphasis last week was, yes, we got it wrong. These were Secret Service agents, but they were dressed in Department of Homeland Security uniforms. And regardless, our school staff knew what to do when someone that they thought was immigration enforcement showed up to the door. So it doesn't appear right now that they're going to be changing any of their protocols or anything like that. But I imagine that maybe, district leadership or even school leadership will potentially take extra steps to make sure they know exactly who it is standing outside.
And you shared a little bit, you said that the district is kind of preparing both principals and staff with that guidance. Can you share a few more details on what exactly they've been told to do if they find themselves in a similar situation again?
Yeah, so what we know from the district is that they're telling principals, if someone who you believe is ICE comes to school grounds asking to get in, the first thing they've told school principals to do is to not let them in and to ask them to identify themselves, and then ask them to if they have a criminal judicial warrant signed by a federal judge. And they've emphasized that there are, an array of different papers that these agents might show up with. They might come with something that's not signed by a federal judge or something that is not a warrant. And they've emphasized to school leaders only if they have this specific criminal judicial warrant that's signed by a federal judge is when you can let them inside. But they've also emphasized before you do any of that, call our district legal department and let our lawyers review the paperwork, let them figure out what's going on, and let them give you the okay and the advice on what steps to take next.
Now, when it comes to parents, do they need to share their child's immigration status with the school that their child is currently attending? What should parents be thinking for this?
So the answer is no. The district does not collect immigration status. This was the case before this year, before this past week. They don't collect that. They don't ask parents for immigration status. In fact, district leaders have said that while they're trying to encourage schools to create family plans for families with varying immigration statuses in case parents, are detained by ICE, they're relying a lot on community-based organizations to work with families to do that work because school staff are not supposed to ask families for their immigration status. So, I'll just say that again, that families do not need to share their immigration status with school, and the district doesn't collect them. And in the United States, regardless of immigration status, children are guaranteed a free and appropriate public education.
And we spent a lot of this conversation just focusing on students. But what protections, if any, are there for CPS teachers and staff who might also be immigrants and undocumented?
Yeah, this question is more complicated, and the answer is not totally clear. But what I have heard from the district is that, they employ people who are, eligible federally to work in the United States, meaning that, their immigration status is likely not, not a question. However, the district has said that they, will not give out sensitive personnel information to authorities, unless they are compelled to by federal law. And the Chicago Teachers Union, which represents the district's teachers and other school staff, they are negotiating a new contract right now, but the contract that is in place guarantees some protections for employees if they, are forced to leave the district because of immigration issues. That they've said, if, for example, if an employee has one of these issues come up and they have to leave the district, the contract says that if they get work authorization papers in time, that they can be guaranteed a job to come back to the district. So there are some protections like that.
Rima Amin, thanks so much for being a wealth of knowledge for all of us this morning.
Thank you.